In 1971, how did a few dozen chinchillas help to bring down drug kingpin Frank Lucas when he attended a Muhammad Ali boxing match? So I'll read that again. In 1971, how did a few dozen chinchillas help to bring down drug kingpin Frank Lucas when he attended a Muhammad Ali boxing match?
What? There's a lot there.
This is tickling something in the back of my head, and I can't remember it, and it's really annoying me. It feels like one of those heist stories.
So a chinchilla is like a small rodent, right? Mm-hmm. Furry. They used to use there was like a woolen thing called chinchilla, so that you would use to wear things. So they're definitely very fluffy. I'm wondering if they were hiding in Don King's hair. For younger listeners, who was a boxing manager who had very chinchilla-like hair, and then they jumped out, and I actually can't remember the rest of the question.
They foiled the drug kingpin. They foiled the drug kingpin.
Oh, the drug.
Were there ever sniffer chinchillas? Like sniffer dogs being posted at the, key areas?
What did they used to send through to fix kind of pipes and stuff?
Ferrets. Yes.
Ferret, chinchilla, potato, surely.
I think of them as being like little guinea pigs. I could not draw you one, but I assume they're like that.
It's a chinchilla is, I think, a slightly bigger, perhaps more rodent-like creature.
Okay,
but yes, it's a small, fluffy creature.
But there are a few dozen of them, and there's a drug kingpin turning up to a boxing match.
Gosh, it is crazy.
Okay, let's set the scene. Let's have the local equivalent of the FBI investigating. They know the kingpin's coming to the match. They can't just jump in and arrest him for some reason.
But they can, if they lure him to the right place, they can nail him. And they know he loves chinchillas, so they build up a cover story with Muhammad Ali, who collects, they rope in and he collects chinchillas, is the story. So he says to the drug kingpin, would you like to come backstage after the fight and look at my chinchillas? And the drug kingpin is like, oh my God, yes. But he's carrying some of his drugs on him. And so that's how, And it's a little known story about Muhammad Ali's career.
Muhammad Ali did always say, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and then scurry around like a chinchilla. But they always cut that last bit out, don't they?
Famous.
Did they need to set up a drug deal? So was it a thing where you needed someone to go and pretend they wanted to buy drugs at this gig from the kingpin, but this kingpin is so dangerous, no human wants to do it, so you dress a couple of dozen chinchillas in a greatcoat and Bob's your uncle.
The phrase cocaine-sniffing chinchillas has just popped into my head. Like, they needed to ferret through, no pun intended, a load of pipe work, a load of all the bags there, and they have trained the chinchillas to track down the cocaine because that's the local animal. We don't know where this is. This could have been somewhere where chinchillas are native.
Is any of us close so far, Dan?
I'll give you a few clues from the things you've discussed. They were not used as drug sniffers, so we can take that off the table. And this was a match between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali in Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Okay. Oh, right. That's the match, right? That was the big.
Yeah.
What
about I'm trying to think, like Tom was trying to set the scene. So the FBI's come in, they know there's a kingpin there, they want an excuse to go and sort of check him out. Maybe you just release a load of chinchillas into Madison Square Garden, and then everyone goes crazy because these chinchillas are running around. And in the brouhaha, you go and you maybe check the drug baron guy.
Afraid not. No.
Oh. I feel like I would have heard of it if that had happened, actually.
And these are literal chinchillas. I've never heard of chinchilla being a euphemism for something.
Oh, well, like I said, chinchilla, it was a type of fabric. In cinchilla, which is synthetic chinchilla, was the first name for a fleece. You know, those fleeces that you wear. That they were originally called cinchillas because it was named after chinchilla.
And I have seen some old-fashioned gold smuggling coats that you would wear under your main clothes, which have pockets all upright ribs all the way around that you would put very thin ingots in as you were trying to smuggle them across borders. So if a chinchilla was a nickname for something in the drug trade, you could, I suppose that could be it.
You're all starting to dance with the idea here now. We're sort of making our way.
It's not actual chinchillas. It's not real live chinchillas. It's a nickname.
So, James, you were sort of dancing in the right territory there when you were saying synthetic chinchilla, but also, Anna, when you were mentioning sort of items and so on. And we've been talking about fabrics and so on. You're so nearly there.
The coat?
The coat.
Oh, so that was how many chinchillas it would take to make a coat? Several dozen. No, but it would.
Yeah. Someone walks in wearing a chinchilla coat, and it's a classic kingpin thing to do, to wear a chinchilla coat. That's like... So the drugs guy thinks, wow, you're one of us.
Yes.
Keep going.
And it's the only way they can identify him. They don't know what he looks like because he's a drug kingpin. He's anonymous. They don't have a picture of him, but they know he wears a ridiculously flamboyant chinchilla coat. So they look for the guy in the chinchilla coat.
Yeah.
Feels like that would be a really easy game giveaway, wouldn't it? For the drug kingpin trying to maintain anonymity.
Let me give it to you because you're right there. It's just about finer details now. 1971. You've got Frank Lucas, who is this drug kingpin, and noticing that he was making a real splash within that world, he looked around at what the other kingpins would dress in and how they would carry themselves, and a lot of them wore mink coats. So he decided to wear a floor-length coat that was matching with a hat made from chinchilla fur, actual chinchilla, not synthetic. In doing so, law enforcement on the night spotted him in the crowd and went, well, that's only a thing that drug guys do. So he must be a kingpin. And it made him, as he said later, he left a marked man. And 5 years later, they arrested him in his attic. But that was the moment that he identified himself to the law enforcement of New York as being a kingpin by emulating the look of a drug dealer.
They weren't looking for him specifically that night. They were just like, this guy has something going on, let's investigate him.
Exactly. That's basically the idea. And so, as you said before, Tom, this is what's been dubbed the fight of the century. And so there was lots of law enforcement there anyway, and he just stuck out like a sore thumb. And he was given a 70-year prison sentence as a result. He only served 15 years of it. But if anyone has seen the 2007 movie American Gangster, which stars Denzel Washington, that is the subject of that film.
That would have really sped this process up, wouldn't it, if one of us had seen that? God damn it.